What's up? Today I am going to work on my 2018 AF 500. There it is. And I'm going to get the exhaust system put on, show you what I had to do to modify the exhaust system and brackets. And I'm going to throw the radiators on and the cooling lines that I can put on until I get my head back. But I'll show you what I did to make all that work, and let's get her done. All right, so I have the factory exhaust manifold that goes on the front of the cylinder right here that the pipe goes on. And let me show you a little trick I have found to help seal these up. So you can buy these aftermarket that have their machine billet and they have O-rings in them, and they're a pretty nice setup, but they're kind of expensive. And I've got a couple buddies that run them, and over time the O-rings burn out on it, and then you're stuck with a leaking exhaust manifold. So I'm going to show you a little trick I learned a couple years ago that since I've been doing it, it holds the pipe tighter, it doesn't rattle, and it doesn't leak. Let me show you what I got. So I have the factory gasket that goes behind this and goes on top of the cylinder, and then I have the FMF O-ring that goes right here in this groove, and that helps keep, the pipe from rattling and stuff like that, which a lot of people, they just take and high temp silicone around it. Don't do that, because the pipe's got to move around, otherwise you're going to end up with broken pipes. But to get the proper seal between this and the pipe that goes on it, what I do is I buy 2 factory Honda gasket O-rings. I don't know, they're not called O-rings, but exhaust manifold gaskets is what I call them. So you throw the first one on, and these are really super thin. And then you take the second one, and if you see, it's got a gap right there, and the way it's supposed to work is when that squeezes together, it's supposed to pinch that off and seal the system. I take a second one and go just opposite of the gap on there. Put that on there like that, and that takes up a little bit of extra room in between the pipe and there. And as you put the pipe on, it's kind of tight, it'll go on and it'll still allow it to spin like that as the motor vibrates and the exhaust vibrates, but it will not leak, and it's not going to cause your pipe to break. So there's just a little helpful hint, or a little helpful tip I should say, that I found years ago that works exceptionally well on these pipes. So I've got my gasket on the back of the manifold. Slide that bugger up in there, start all 3 bolts, tighten it down, and you're good to go. There you have it. So I've got the manifold on the end of the cylinder, and before I go ahead and throw the exhaust on, I've got to mount the right hand side radiator. And it's a lot easier to do this with the pipe off, because you have to maneuver this drain hose from the bottom of the right hand radiator into the top of the water pump. So I'm going to go ahead and get some hose clamps put on, get this on, mount it up, and we'll throw the exhaust on. Awesome tool, highly suggest it. It's well worth the money. Crane Man's here, can you tell? Who is it? It's the Crane Man. You think they get excited over Crane Man? What's up, Mr. Crane Man?
Oh, just coming to see what you're up to there, old buddy.
No, we're just building. All right, well, we had Mr. Crane Man come by and BS for a little bit, like he usually does on Sunday afternoons. And while he was here, he kind of helped me tinker with this thing a little bit. But let me show you what I got, and I'll explain to you what I've done on the exhaust mounts. So when I built this bike, I didn't want to have to cut any bracketry up on the stock exhaust at all. And I didn't want to have to shorten the silencer or have to cut the exhaust here or anything like that. So I was really mindful about mount placement on the frame and utilizing factory holes and stuff like that. So what I did is I machined a bushing and welded it on the frame, and I actually used the stock CR500 expansion chamber stay mount there. And what I had to do here, most guys on conversions end up cutting this piece off of the factory expansion chamber. Well, I still wanted to utilize that one. So what I did is I built this bracket and used the factory bushing with the factory insert, and then measured out the distance between here and there and came up with that spacer and utilized this factory exhaust mount for the 4-stroke. The only thing I had to do is I had to clearance the frame right here about, probably 3/16 of an inch, but it gives me tons of room in between the frame and that bolt right there. That bolt is actually on the inside of the frame, so that's not gonna hurt that structurally at all. And then on the upper for the silencer, I utilized the factory mount here on the subframe, built this bracket, machined the bushing out to get my spacing correct this way. And then that bracket right there's got a little bit of a twist to it. And then same thing on the back, machined a bushing, machined this bushing, and this is actually a step down for the back, or for the seat bolt. And the side panel and the actual seat bolt go inside right there, so it still compresses it enough and makes everything tight to where, it doesn't have any slop. But there you have it. There's what I did for mounts on the exhaust, and I've actually got the factory 500 rubber grommet that seals this up right here. A lot of people silicone them. I don't recommend doing that because, again, it won't let the exhaust move around like it's supposed to. So anyways, that's what I've done, and I think it's going to turn out really well. It's got really good clearance around all of the radiator hoses, around the Y. It's a little tight right there, but not too bad at all. And shifter, or the Kickstarter, has lots of room in between. So as long as this is indexed right, and even if it's not, you can always pull this out and turn it just a little bit on the inside. So there you have it. That's what I did to make the exhaust work on this conversion. I'm sure there's different ways of doing it, but this is how I did it, and I think it turned out pretty clean. So if you guys are doing one of these conversions, I hope this kind of gives you an idea how I did it, and hopefully it makes it easier when you guys are fabbing up your exhaust on one of these conversions. My entire goal for this was, when the time comes and I need to buy a new silencer or a new expansion chamber, all I got to do is just get online, order one for a CR500, and it bolts right on. I don't have to do any modifications to the pipe or silencer. And the other thing of it is, on this bike is, I've bent subframes before. The silencer mounts to the subframe, and I don't want to have to modify another subframe. So that being said, when the time comes and I loop this thing out and bend the subframe beyond repair, I can buy a factory subframe for this thing, bolt it on the bike, and everything that bolts to the subframe bolts to the subframe without any modifications. But anyways, hope this helps out. Again, let me know if you guys got any questions on this kind of stuff, or what you're working on, or if you're doing a conversion and you got questions and I can help. let me know. Shoot me a comment. I'll reply back to you as soon as I see it. And like I said before, I appreciate you guys watching, and do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. And I tell you what, leave me a comment in here, and one that makes me laugh, or the one that I find most funny or most relevant. I'm gonna email you and I'm gonna send you a prize. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Thanks again.